Shoutout, Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Yes. Thank you so much for coming through, tuning in, and all that good stuff. New listeners, new episodes generally drop every Thursday. So make sure you come back through. I usually talk about my life, the ways I'm trying to grow. To all my regular supporters, I appreciate y'all. If you're not, you should totally follow me on social media. So the link to that is in my episode notes, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to grow the channel. It costs $0.99 for y'all to subscribe in that way. So let's get on that. The link is right in the episode notes. So you ain't even really got to go nowhere if you already listening. You know what I'm saying? If you are watching, I do have a different background. No, I did not move yet because I know I told y'all that the next time that the background would change would be when I move, but I had to rearrange my setup over the weekend. We'll get into why later in the episode. And so then I decided to just change it, period. So I actually like this better. This blurred background, we'll see how this works out because there are pictures on the wall behind me that I don't feel like taking down, and y'all don't need to be worrying about who's all up in my family. You know what I'm saying? So the blurred background, I've had issues with that in the past where it caused this weird like delay with the sound versus the visuals. So we'll see. Otherwise, I'll just have to take the pictures off the wall. Anywho, thanks for listening, y'all. Podcast shout out. Let me do that. I haven't stopped doing that. I still have my list. I've kind of just been slacking, and then I'm not gonna do it, when I have a guest episode. So shout out to October Pod. This is somebody that I am in a retweet group with, super supportive. They're always, sharing my content. And then usually we'll all kind of talk in there based on various things or whatever. So the description of the show I have not listened to, or I should say watched it because it's only available on YouTube. But Edward October narrates true-ish, and classic tales of horror and the paranormal, on YouTube. So I'll put the YouTube link in the episode notes. I think that's it. I mean, podcast happy hour will be sometime this month, and more to come on that. I think that's it. So, oh man, this past weekend was super duper, like probably the busiest weekend I have had in, I don't want to say ever, but man, family came into town. Janae graduated Sunday. Sunday was also Kayliana's 20th birthday and also Mother's Day. So family came into town to see Janae graduate. Her graduation party was Saturday. So it was just like such a busy day. I mean, such a busy weekend from basically Friday to Sunday and kind of Monday too, because family stayed through Monday. They didn't really leave till like late Monday night, early. I think my grandma and auntie left like 2 o'clock in the morning, Monday going into Tuesday, driving down to South Carolina. So yeah, my granny with her 82-year-old self really be driving from New Jersey to wherever she wants to go. She has goals because I want to be traveling that much and just be that like self-sufficient and all that she is, at her age. But I'm going to kind of just go day by day how the weekend went because it was super eventful. A lot of dope stuff happened. And I got to give y'all the little recap of, the good times. I tell y'all a lot about frustrations, whatever. But whenever I could celebrate, I definitely want to do that. So Friday, oh, actually, first, three lessons, actually, two lessons that I'm going to share that I'm not going to give you any context of how these lessons came about. But the first one I will say is that when people lie on you, okay, only explain yourself if absolutely necessary to the people who matter. So that's number one, because a lot of times the truth will come out. But I also say that if the liar doesn't bring it to you directly, so if you hear it because somebody told you what they said, in some instances, it's kind of a waste of time to even confront them. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said, if necessary, explain yourself to the people who matter. Just if you feel like there's someone that you want to make sure they know, whatever, show receipts, whatever you got to do. But I am really just learning that sometimes you are going to be the villain in somebody's story. I've shared this before in their version of the way things happen, whether or not it's true. And I have, at my grown age of 41, almost 42, I will be 42 next month. Shout out to my birthday, June 27th. Holla at your girl. But I'm okay with being the villain in anybody's story. I don't care who it is because it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first lesson. The second is pay attention to when someone constantly has to make a joke at your expense, excuse me, especially when it's unprovoked or you don't have a relationship like that with them. And just kind of pay attention to that because honestly, they are low key, and I would even maybe say high key, giving off jealous or hater vibes. So just kind of peep game and act accordingly. And that doesn't mean like you know what it means when somebody is making an unnecessary joke at your expense. So I'm not saying if you have that relationship with someone and you guys are petty or you have that banter or whatever, because I have that type of relationship with some people. And then there's the people that you don't have that type of relationship with. And there's the people that when these jokes are at your expense, it's like sneak dissing, you know what I'm saying? Or they're trying to belittle you, but wrap it up in laughter, you know what I'm saying? So pay attention to that, you know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and get into the weekend. So Friday, most yeah, all of my family had arrived by Friday. So, my mom and I spent time up to that kind of like getting the house ready because there were a lot of people staying here, so we had to like reorganize stuff, make sure that everyone had somewhere to sleep and all that good stuff because for the most part when people come into town, especially when it gets into my granny, my auntie April, etc. We usually just stay at each other's house. We don't usually do the whole hotel thing. And so they all arrived, and then the dope thing is there's a cousin. I guess it'd be my second cousin, but my mom and Auntie April's first cousin. She probably wouldn't even want me putting her name on here like that. So just forget that, my auntie. But there's like a cousin that, long story short, was adopted, have been looking for family for years, was adopted like from birth, and at the age of 60, because they're all in their 60s, like finally got to meet family. So she came in for the graduation, so that was kind of dope. She got my daughter's gifts, or probably money, I think, because I didn't really see too many gifts for either of them, but gave them a card, came to celebrate and all that good stuff. And what's dope about that is like she's literally never met any of us. She's been talking to my mom and whoever for like a few years, but it's just really cool that because I'm sorry, family or not, talking to somebody for a few years or not. Now, we're not crazy, but I don't know that I could have stayed in someone's house that this is. Actually, I can't say that though, because with the pod crew, the first time that I met everyone, so some of them had met each other prior to that, but the first time that I met all of them was when we were staying in the cabin. And so I guess I can't even really say that what I was about to say, because I was about to say I don't know that if I would have been able to stay with somebody's, but I guess you know a lot of times when people are, they got them crazy vibes or whatever. So I guess, yeah, but anyways, she came, so that was dope getting to see this reunion. Y'all know I'd be struggling, and hear stories that I had not heard about family and whatnot. So that was cool. Also, so let's go back in time a little bit. I've talked on here about how I did gang intervention. I was a gang intervention specialist in the past. So I was subcontracted to juvenile probation. And it was almost just like some coaching for, you know, youth on probation, but predominantly had some sort of gang ties. So either they were in a gang, or they were dating someone in the gang, or they were just affiliated with the gang because they hung around them so much, even though maybe they hadn't been actually like jumped into the gang or whatever. And so I did that 2017 to 2018, and then I stopped because my youngest really started like struggling with her mental health, whatever. I didn't really know what it was at first. I thought it was just grief. So she started really struggling, and I just kind of felt like, one, home comes first, and with that job you might be called away. I remember on a weekend once when I was grocery shopping, I had to like go handle something, or you're going to have evenings or whatever. Like, you don't really have a set schedule. So there was that. That's why I stopped. I just really felt like, but there were also frustrations where I would never get paid on time. And it wasn't my boss's fault. It's just the way the pay structure was set up, to where you had to fill out the voucher, submit it to probation, who then all these people got to do whatever and check whatever and blah blah blah. And it just always there was always a delay. So that was frustrating, but that's not why I left, because it was really good money, really good hourly wage. Okay, so fast forward to now. Now we know I started my company. It's going there are some of them same challenges where people just feel okay with paying you slowly, like this isn't my livelihood, like this has been literally my only source of income. Or now clients flaking out and like not showing up for appointments or stuff like that, that's to be expected. But it's when you're in a project and I'm doing everything on my end quickly and things are going slowly, man, it's very frustrating. And I just really have been praying and just really thinking about what is a way I like having consistent income, in addition to still growing and building my company. Because it hasn't even been a year yet. These things don't just happen super quickly. And so, to where, if a client is going slow, well, I have this steady income that's, keeping things going and not making this extra income, but kind of in a, I guess, where I'm just not as bothered and stressed. Or, I don't have like rent and all that stuff right now, but I do have bills. Like, I have a phone bill, I have bills that I have to pay related to running my, company. So Canva, da da da, just a whole bunch of different stuff, right? And so when I'm getting paid, like, even that stuff is getting late. And I'm trying to leave my mom's house, so I have to have steady income in order to do that. And so I've been really just kind of praying, like, what's a way to make that happen, but also not going back to the 9 to 5, because I don't want to give up 40 hours a week to work for someone else. Like, I just don't. And so, long story short, I was talking to a friend of mine about that. And so then when someone asked him, hey, we're looking for people to do, it's a subcontracting job. Basically, it's the exact same thing I did before, except not solely focused on the gang population, working for a different company. And the dope thing about it is, one, the way he does his stuff is he we get paid the first and the 15th regardless. So I don't have to wait for a voucher to be paid to him by the state. I just have to submit my timesheet and boom, I get paid the first and the 15th. So that's one. So that's steady income. Two, I can have as many or as few clients as I want. And so, of course, now I'm going to take more because I need more money to come from elsewhere because my company, I'll have like large projects and it's great. But again, it's just this slow thing. So, um just to have like that steadiness, but also I can slow down when things get busier, excuse me. It's you make appointments, you have your schedule. So basically it's very similar to the way my company is, where I make appointments, you know, own my time, excuse me. It's just I'm, subcontracted to someone else. And so when my friend told me about this position, and I already have like rapport with the owner of the company because we worked together with a kid that I had or whatever. And so had a conversation with him Friday and decided to just go ahead and get started with that. So that's pretty exciting just because also, I've really been thinking, and I don't remember if I said this on here or not. I love the work that I do with my company. I love being able to help companies get more structured. People, that's kind of been predominantly what I've been doing, is a lot of standard operating procedure writing, which there's good money in that when you're writing manuals for people. I love being able to create all kinds of different content because it's really just increased my range of what I can do. Like, and the more I, even with like the birthday videos that I make for my kids, like the more that I learn and the more skills that I gain, the more advanced their stuff is going to be. I mean, I love all of that. However, I need to have, something more steady. So the dope thing though with doing the subcontractor job is I'm working with youth that are on probation, and one of the things that has bothered me a little bit, because I've worked in the social work field this whole, like, that's my career. So having work that has meaning in a I know I'm making a difference in somebody's life type way has always been important to me. That's why I've did youth ministry even starting at the age of 25. And so it's something I've really wrestled with lately because I can't say that I really feel that with what I'm doing. Like, I know I'm helping companies, I get great feedback and all that, but it's different. It's not that passion work that I had before, even though the sucky thing about the social work field is it's not as financially lucrative, you know what I'm saying? And so this makes me happy about this. I mean, that's what makes me happy about the subcontractor position, because it's like I'll be working with youth. I'll get to pour into youth and coach them and help them reach their goals and all that good stuff. And so I'll be doing something that I know is making a difference. And even if I get down to like, oh, I'm so busy with my company that I'm only doing one or two kids because it's only so many hours per week, you know what I'm saying? The nice thing though is this go round I can bill for non face to face stuff. So you have to do a lot of documentation or maybe a phone call or whatever. And I couldn't bill for stuff like that. So it seems like the pay structure is better for me to ensure that I'm getting paid on like set days. But then also it seems like they've restructured things to where you can, time is money, you know what I'm saying? So Friday that happened or whatever. It's kind of like redemption in a sense for the whole way the gang intervention thing went as far as the pay thing. And then I had to do today a drug test, and it's so crazy. I can't think of the last time I actually had to do like a urine test for a drug test. The last drug test I had to do was for my last job. in the social work field, and it was a mouth swab. I'm not worried about not passing. Thank God, I don't have that worry. But the crazy thing is, I don't know, like I went, it was like the weirdest experience trying to do this drug test. Like I went and I would start to try to pee, and then as soon as I would put the cup try to catch it, it's like I couldn't pee anymore. So it's almost like I had some sort of like stage fright. So I barely got her enough pee in that cup, but she was able to make it work. And then of course, as soon as I get home, then I gotta go to the bathroom. Like that was stupid. So yeah, that was pretty much Friday, and then just party prep. So like just getting, like I even, did the yard last week and stuff like that. And so finishing up party prep. All right, so Saturday is the graduation party, and I scheduled it for 4 to 7, and I'm glad that I did, because the one thing, so I have three favorite things about the weekend. I'm going to share the last two at the end. One of my favorite things about this weekend is that the way everything was scheduled, I didn't have to feel rushed. So the party was 4 to 7, so I was able to wake up, have my quiet time. I had to clean the deck furniture in case people needed to go out there, because my daughter invited all these people, and I wanted to make sure people had, places to sit or whatever. And so I did that, and then the graduation itself on Sunday wasn't until 5. So again, woke up, just kind of like mosey into my day and like not feel rushed, and like that's what I like, you know what I'm saying? Like just not having to feel rushed, and not having, it was a busy weekend, but it could have been worse, you know what I'm saying? So had to go get the food. Shout out to like sales, because I was able to get, we only had like a set budget, and I, within that budget, figured out, okay, what's the best way to feed people? Because if you're coming from 4 to 7, that's kind of like dinner time, is what I'm thinking. So yes, cake, but let's have food. So I ordered these big 6 foot party subs and some chips, because I mean, sandwiches and chips is fine. And they had like a sale, so I just got all these chips because I'm just like, and I got a big cake, and then of course drinks and stuff. And so that was pretty much what we had at the party. The bread was Rotella's. I don't know if they have that everywhere. I know it's like a bakery here. The bread was just so soft, and the sandwiches were great. And so that was pretty much Saturday was the party. We had family here. Us in and of ourselves, just family, is like 15 people. And so then anybody in addition to that, I'd say easily, I don't even know, but different people like came through that she invited or whatever. Some people didn't show up that we thought, but I'm very much under the thought process in all things that everybody who is supposed to be wherever they're supposed to be comes. Like I don't ever really trip off. Like there are a couple people that I was pretty sure would come just because of a relationship. They didn't. I really wasn't tripping. One of them did tell me why. The other I haven't even heard follow up on, but then I looked and I saw somebody passed away and they had a funeral over the weekend. So it's kind of like, you're dealing with that. I wasn't tripping anyway, you know what I'm saying? I don't usually trip off stuff like that. I may be surprised, maybe even disappointed, depending on who it is and what it is. But for the most part, even in those instances, I'm usually like, but I mean, if they were supposed to be here, they would have been here. You know what I'm saying? Now, an interesting thing during the party, and okay, my mom doesn't live in a neighborhood where there's going to be like usually random people just walking around. It's usually that if you are here, you know somebody here or whatever. But there was like some random, I don't know if she got kicked out of her house or whatever, lady that apparently was outside. I never actually went outside because my brother and his wife went out there, and she was just like sitting on our front yard and had all these bags, is what I was told. And so they offered her some water because I mean, it wasn't like hot, hot, but it was hot enough to where, hey, do you want some water? And then Kayliana was like, can we give her some food? And I was like, well, ask her if she wants some first. Like, don't just take a plate out there and she might not even want it. And so she went and took her some food. So that was just like super random because, like, where did you come from? Why are you here? Like I said, my mom doesn't really live in a neighborhood where stuff like that usually happens, where people just will stop and sit wherever. So that was super random. Then a dope part about Saturday is after I've told y'all, I am not an extrovert. I am an introvert. So I can do people stuff, but I always feel drained afterwards. And so I've really learned though that this is why I start every day by myself, quiet time. I just sit there for at least 5 minutes when I'm rushed, 15 or more on a regular day, where I literally just sit there doing nothing. I haven't really learned how to shut my mind down yet, but that's okay. I just sit there. Then I journal, then I read my Bible, I pray for my kids, and then I get my day started. You know what I'm saying? And so when there's a lot of people stuff, because especially when we have something like a party, when I have gatherings, I don't just usually have random people. Like, it's usually people that I know. The last, I'd say, large gathering I had would have been my graduation party 7 years ago. And it always gives me anxiety with these events because people are here to see me and I want to make sure that I talk to them, but also in general, I'm not really a small talk kind of person. So, like, when I'm around people, we're going to be talking about something. Otherwise, I may laugh a little or whatever, but I'll kind of just sit there and observe, um, and hop in conversations, whatever. So it's kind of like social gatherings take a lot out of me because I pour a lot of myself into it. So I was very glad when everybody went. I don't even remember where they went, but I just didn't want to go. And I just sat here by myself and I was so glad that they all went wherever they went after the party and I didn't even care about going. So then Sunday morning, I didn't go to church. I serve on my church's creative team, but I knew I didn't want to have to worry about that. So I had already told them that I wasn't going to be doing anything and I didn't go to church or any of that. And then my brother is a pastor leads a church, and all my family went to his church, and my intention originally was to go, but every year for my kid's birthday, I do a birthday video. And as much as I try to have it done in advance, I'm usually putting it together the night before. And if you saw it on social media, like, it'll have different pictures. I'll tell them to send me whatever pictures they want in the video, transitions, whatever. And like when I create stuff, like I don't just slap things together. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I try to do everything with excellence, with as much skills and knowledge as I have, and then I continue to evolve and grow or whatever. So I was up super late. I mean, I want to say to like 2 o'clock in the morning doing that. Mind you, I had so many late nights. For whatever reason, I've been like getting up at 6 something in the morning lately. So I had so many days like that throughout the week anyway. So by the time I remember Saturday night telling my mom, if I don't wake up, I'm not going, and it just is what it is. And I did not. I actually did wake up, but I woke up with a migraine, and so I just went back to sleep. And it probably was from all the sugar and cake. Y'all, I had so much cake and just juice and pop, and I'm usually just a coffee and water person. I had so much junk this weekend. I don't even care. And so that's probably though why I woke up Sunday with a really bad headache. So everybody went to church. So again, I got time to myself, which was great. Then my son came, and then everybody came back or whatever. So then we go to the graduation. The graduation was until 5. Now, usually for graduations, you need tickets. This school, you didn't need tickets. They said invite as many people as you want. So this was beautiful because I did not have to stress about that like I did with my son's graduation. Because, when he graduates, we have to consider my side of the family and his dad's side of the family. And so there was almost where somebody might not have been able to go because they only give you so many tickets free, and then you have to pay for tickets, and it was ridiculous. And so I didn't have that stress with Janae, though. They said invite as many people as you want. There's plenty of room. I did look around that arena, and I still saw a bunch of empty seats. You know what I'm saying? But with that, the graduation started at 5, and I knew I wanted to get there early because I wanted to be able to make sure we can all sit together, but then also save seats for a couple people. Like, I was not about to make it my responsibility to be trying to save seats for anybody. However, if someone texted me and said, "Hey, we want to sit with y'all," then I made it my responsibility. So like my okay, so I guess we'll go here real quick. Super random sidebar. So, my daughters have other siblings, my bonus kids. You want to say step kids, but I realized after actually saying it this weekend, I don't like that term. Um, and it's interesting because some of them grew up around me when they were little, when me and their dad were together. And then one of my bonus daughters, but we'll just say daughter, she never lived. I take that back. She was born here, but she's actually, like, when he and I were friends, that's when he had her. So like we were friends before anything ever and like for real friends. Like us getting together like really was kind of like something that just happened. It was never like a plan or a thought or, any of that. Um and so one of my bonus daughters has a baby, so I'm kind of like I'm a grandma, which is just wild. And got to spend like some time with. I've seen him, like he came over once because Kayliana brought him over, but I got to like interact with him more, especially because her and her boyfriend and Isaiah, that I don't even know if, whatever, forget that. The baby. um sat next to me. So I was like interacting with him. And then when they came back to the house after the graduation on to celebrate Kayliana's birthday, then I was like talking to him and all that. And I was, how babies can be. And, was smiling and whatever at me by the end of me, whatever. And then I was like saying how which I had already told his mom that when we move, y'all literally can come over anytime. Like, just like my son, you know what I'm saying, who doesn't live with me, you can come over anytime. Like, you don't have to ask. And my other bonus daughter was there. There are other siblings, but it's a long story. I don't want to get into all that. But two of the siblings were there. So it was just really dope. Got to meet both their boyfriends basically, and they all sat with us or whatever. And so that was the people that I'm like, okay, yes, I'll save and I'll make sure there's seats for y'all. So we got there early. I was able to have two rows like just together. We didn't even have to like wait in line going into the arena. That literally has never happened in any graduation that I've ever gone, because y'all know I worked with youth. So I've been to many a graduation even before my kids graduated. I've never been able to just walk into any arena because it used to be at a different place before. I've never been able to just walk in there. And mind you, we probably got there like 4:30. So it's not even like we got there early, but not like whatever. But yeah, was able to save a couple rows or whatever. And then it's like as I'm sitting there in the graduation, it's like really sinking in. And I'm just like, when Kayliana and Devon graduated, while I was, especially it was different for Kayliana because hers was a COVID graduation because she graduated in 2020. So she didn't even have the traditional graduation. Um, but it's like they didn't have a ton of issues during high school, just, regular teenage stuff. But because of all the struggles that Janae had, especially with her mental health and self harming and just all these things, and I worked really hard, and there was just really some points in time when it was just, I'm just trying to keep this girl alive. And I sacrificed a lot, like, went to so many meetings and had to work long days and all this crazy stuff because I didn't really have vacation like that. And I would flex my schedule and just do all this stuff. So all those sacrifices, she's the only child who graduated that I was like, wow, we did it. Like, I didn't feel like that with the other two because they really didn't have a ton of issues, to where there was ever a concern about whatever. Now, there was never a concern for her academically. She's very smart, but her, mental state and whatnot, just, so yeah, it just really sank in, like, wow, like, we made it. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm in this whole different phase of parenthood where all of my kids are adults. Like, my kids are 18, 20, and 22. There's this 5 month period of time from Kayliana's birthday to Janae's birthday, because Kayliana's birthday is May and Janae's birthday is October, where it seems like my kids are 2 years apart. And I don't know, just random fact about me. For some reason, I like that when they are 18, 20, and 22. Now, in October and November, Janae and Devon will turn 19 and 23. And so then it's off after that. But for whatever reason, I like this 5 month span of time where it seems like they're 2 years apart. But anyways, and so yeah, had the graduation. Now, the graduation was over 2 hours long, like 500 kids graduated. My daughters went to it's Papillion School District. That will mean not much to most y'all. But for those of you who live here, and I will just say this, it's in the suburb, and there's a lot of money out there and whatever, and it's just very interesting because this is the only graduation that I've been to. Now, OPS, Omaha Public Schools, is the main district that any other graduation I've ever been to. And I'm not saying there's not magna cum laude, I'm not saying there's not all of these things, but it's interesting because you can just see the difference between when there's privilege and when there's money and people are just kind of, in a sense, better set up for success, just how differently it looks than when they're not. And that's just the reality of it, you know what I'm saying, in what I've seen. And so it's just very interesting. It was an interesting graduation. It was probably, honestly, graduation speeches are usually blah, but the principal told this story that was just super encouraging, where he was talking about, I forget who, some kid that, like, shouldn't have been able to walk, but the mom said that she would be able to walk, and that's what the daughter held on to. So when other people would say you're not going to be able to do this, that, and the other, she's like, but my mom said this. And just the power of words and what you allow people to speak over you or not. And I talk about that a lot. Like, even with my situation, I've gotten to the point where I don't tell people about moves I'm going to make. I'll tell you after it's done and set in stone, because then you can't mess it up. And you know what I'm saying? And I still also pray against whatever, because people be out here hating. But ultimately, this lady went on to become like a track star and like the fastest woman in the world at whatever point. And I can't remember what her name was. And so it was just an interesting graduation. They announced everybody who enlisted into the military, which a lot of kids did, which I thought was super interesting. And then usually in every other graduation, they always take the professional picture with the diploma, but they don't usually do it on stage where we can see it. I've never seen that at any other graduation that I've been at. So that made it take longer because you shake the principal's hand and then you take the picture with them. And so, the graduation maybe could have went quicker, but I mean, it is what it is. It's the last one of my kids that I'll ever have to sit through. And anybody else, I might leave after they call their name, depending on who it is. I'm just kidding. I usually don't, because I usually want them to see me afterwards to know that I was there. But yeah, then we came back to my mom's house, and then we celebrated Kayleana's birthday. So a whole new cake, because we had to have a separate cake that had her birthday, food, family. That's when I took pictures. I wish I took more pictures on Saturday, but I just was so caught up in just enjoying the party. You know what I'm saying? That I just didn't even think about that. Um, Mother's Day kind of got overshadowed, but really it didn't, because I had already told my kids they usually get me gifts. And this year I said, hey, don't buy me anything. I really want to get my hair done. And that's just not something, I'm not going to say it's not something that I would spend my money on, because I actually had an appointment scheduled for the day before, not the day before the graduate, for Friday. But it when people are paying you, it's just so I told them, just pull your money together and do that instead. This is how much it costs, including whatever. So I'm super excited because I'm getting my hair done in a couple weeks. Shout out to my kids. So even though Mother's Day, it just didn't really feel like Mother's Day, because I was so focused on Janae's graduation party on Saturday, and then the graduation and Kayleana's birthday on Sunday. But that's why Mother's Day, like, I appreciate, man, though, shout out to everybody who texts me, whatever. And what's so crazy about that is, like, this is why I love the podcast community. I got so much love and text messages from, like, other podcasters and, like, people that I've been friends with forever, that not all, but some that I would have thought I would have heard from, I didn't. And I don't trip off. This is another reason I don't trip off who doesn't do what, because there's always someone who does. Like, I got so much love and, like, unexpected text messages from people that, I mean, really, you've never even met me, but I'm a mom. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all, just the friends that I've built in the community. Again, that's why I don't really trip off whatever. But yeah, Mother's Day, outside of the love I got from people, it just kind of really got overshadowed. But that's why I don't really trip off Mother's Day all like that, because if it wasn't for my kids, that's not a day that I would have. So the best Mother's Day gift to me was seeing my daughter graduate, and then also getting to celebrate Kayleana's 20th birthday with a bunch of family here, because usually family would not be here like that. Usually we'd probably do something smaller, just family. Usually we'll go to dinner or something like that. But turning 20 is a big deal because you're no longer a teenager. So I'm glad we were able to do that. I would say my favorite things from the weekend were my kids, all the kids, so bonus kids included, which I don't even know if I like that term. It just seems like a lot to be saying, but I like that better than step kids, because no shade to anybody who says it, because I call my stepmom. But anywho, them all getting to just spend time together and bond, because a lot of years have gone by where they just didn't get to be around each other or whatever. And so them getting that now when they're older, and even still, like, having some memories from when they were younger, or creating new memories, or just whatever, like, that was my favorite part about all that. And especially the way I love that my son is such a people person and really just steps in. Like him and one of my daughter's boyfriends were, I guess, talking during the whole graduation because they just happened to be sitting together, and it's like I just love how everybody always embraces everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody, like, I don't know. I that was my favorite part of the weekend, just the times that they got to all be together. And I had already been telling them that when I move, I was going to start hosting like sibling dinners just to create a place that's intentional for them to get to not only like spend time together, but also have it and be in a way of like a mom or mom figure or whatever having all her kids over, because we missed out on a lot of that stuff over the years, especially um yeah, we missed out on a lot of stuff. And so I really want to create that environment. I love having game nights and stuff like that anyway, so I'm gonna get back on that. I already told them, but that was my favorite part of the weekend. And then I'm so glad Kayleana's birthday was on Mother's Day and the graduation, and like all of that is done. Now, technically, Janae has another graduation ceremony. We'll get into that in a second, but I'm tired, so I couldn't fathom having to like then next weekend do a whole big thing again or whatever. So I'm really glad kind of like all of that is over and family is gone. I love them. But man, today I like passed out earlier. That's why I'm up now late recording this, because I just was so tired that I just like passed out. Um but Janae, so the graduation on Mother's Day was from the high school. But those of you who follow along with the show know that she left the high school and started doing independent studies the end of her junior year. And so that's how she was able to graduate so early, because you graduate at your pace, and she wanted to be done with school before before her birthday, and she didn't need I think she only needed like 9 credits to graduate by the time at the beginning of senior year or something like that. And so then from that school, there will be a graduation ceremony on this upcoming third. So the day this episode drops, there's another ceremony. Now that one, I asked her if she wanted a lot of people to come to that or whatever. She said she didn't really care. I'm, of course, going. She's, of course, going. Her sister will go. Most people have to work, and we just saw the main graduation, the big one on Sunday. So that's the one that mattered the most. Not really. They're both equal, but this is a way smaller one. So I'm super just glad, though, that I had such a like, I love spending time with my family. I love all of that. But then again, because I'm not an extrovert, it just takes a lot out of me. So I'm also glad that I got to have my time by myself in the midst of all that. And also that everybody's gone, because now I can kind of get back to whatever. And so, yeah, this new setup, if you're watching, is because I had to move my stuff out of the way so that they could, sit on the couches and all that stuff. And then once I moved my stuff, I said, let's go ahead and rearrange it to where it's kind of, I feel like, better in my opinion, because I have more space, even though it doesn't seem like it's taking up as much space because of the way it is. Whatever. So yeah, that was my weekend. Shout out to class of 2022. Like, man, what a time to be alive. New parent phase for me. I have all adult children, so especially as finances increase, I will be traveling more, you know what I'm saying? So more to come on that, but I guess that's all I got for y'all this week. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for Tamara.